gun shy, huh?
I'm cautious of anyone who has the ability to tell us what we can and cannot say.
Ah, we're on Twitch. There we are. We got us up on Twitch, and we're about ready to rock and roll. I think we are on YouTube. Let's see if my computer will refresh. Then we'll get ready to rock and roll on Facebook. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Newswire, on Facebook, Twitch, and Jesse's favorite YouTube. Of that going on that. And we'll be off on a big emotion today on that. Obviously, the big story of the day is in Orange County. The shooting down there, it appears the assailant knew the people, for someone had dealings with them on that. And it will be put up to the point, and you're not hearing it on this one, and it doesn't matter what the situation is, why, who are there for. If someone is coming at you with a firearm or planning on killing you, you do not have time to call the police officers or whatever to stop their murder if they're intending to do that. They will usually, they will do lots of mass destruction unless there's someone around with a firearm at the point of contact to eliminate the perpetrator. Condolences to all the friends and family who lost loved ones in the Orange County deal, but they're updating that, being very cautious with it as they should be. And notice in Orange County, it's not turning into something that it shouldn't, and we'll leave it at that. Big news today on two fronts. I'm changing directions 180 degrees, and we're going all in with Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden today announced that April 10th, joining in as the story we brought you yesterday in Fort Lauderdale, where they're going to have the mass burning party, April 10th is going to be National Mass Burning Day, and we are all going to burn masks all across the country and throw them away and say the hell with it, Joe Biden said at a press briefing today at the White House. We're done with this stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. We were playing the American people for a con. The whole mask thing and that, ha ha ha. And to celebrate you being played on the biggest joke there ever was, we are going to finally end this whole fiasco with a big national mass burning party across the country on April 10th, and it will be National Mask Burning Day, he stated, and I couldn't agree with Joe Biden more. And before you drive off the road or adjust your TV or that, think about what today is. And one thing, what got me thinking of this, April Fools, you used to hear, you'd hear it on the TV, radio, people would call you up and pull pranks and this and that. It's like, did we just eliminate April Fools? As I've said, they're trying to take the fun out of everything. And I think this is a whole, this is just an offshoot of what they're doing, I think, to control us. Like with the masks. If you feel like you want to wear a dozen masks over your face, hallelujah. Go for it. If I decide That's not the thing to do for Roy. Then you shouldn't be around telling me or anybody else what to do. Because there is no emergency. It is part of life. Whoever was going to perish or have ill consequences from COVID-19 or any other virus, flu, or anything else, we're going to have it, and that's just the way of the world. We get to the point of when do we fight back? And I don't know if that... We brought to you the PPIC poll yesterday that said 56% of the people, voting residents of California would vote to keep Gavin Newsom. Would vote to keep him, not recall him. I suspect that number might have been, I'd like to see the actual questions or how that was framed. Do you think because most of his numbers and his approval rating is going south of 40%. I mean, south of 50%. Now, if your approval rating is that far down and dropping like a rock, I wouldn't think that 56% of the people would be supporting Gavin Newsom after the last year or so that we've been put under this. I would like to talk to the people who support Gavin Newsom and think he's doing a great job as governor. That would be absolutely fascinating. If you support, especially if you support Joe Biden, well, to 5:30, please call in 951-242-5397. I would really like to understand what you think is so great about Gavin Newsom. I don't even get the, I think Gavin Newsom, he's so cute crowd. I mean, I guess. I'm deferring to the smarter half of the population's professional opinion on that, but whatever, if that's what trips your trigger. But I'm thinking Gavin, I think he could do a lot better on the looks front than Gavin Newsom, but that's just my call on it. Everybody's got their own taste, Some people like Chevys, some like Fords, some like Toyotas. Who knows? Everybody's got a preference on that. But it's absolutely incredulous of what we're going through. And of course, Gavin Newsom had to be on with Ding Dong Mayor Garcetti down there. But if you think these mask requirements and stuff are going to be lifted anytime soon, ha 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 ha. They're setting us up, again, I guess it's like, a cat toying with a mouse. Gavin Newsom's obviously a cat, we're all the mouse. But this is Gavin Newsom today at his squirrely press conference, and he's asked a question on, well, you think we're opening up too soon? So here we go.
And worth it in the end.
Well, it's our commitment to equity. It's our commitment to vaccinating the most vulnerable. Remember, 75% of the people that have died from this disease, and this disease continues to be deadly. Close to 150 people lost their lives, families torn apart because of the deadliness of this disease. The disease is not taking Easter weekend off. This disease is not taking spring break off. This disease remains as deadly as it's ever been. The only construct that's changed, the reason we're at 1.9% positivity, and over the last couple weeks, we've had among the lowest positivity rates in America, is because of the vaccine efforts and because of the natural antibodies for those that have been exposed, and the good work that many of you do every single day in terms of the non-pharmaceutical interventions by practicing what we're preaching, particularly in terms of mask wearing, which is foundational. Many other states have lifted the mask mandate, and you're seeing their numbers reflect that. You're seeing numbers increase in other states. In California, we've been able to hold pretty steady for the last few weeks, mindful that we have 854 UK variants that we have sequenced in this state, mindful that we now have 35 Brazilian variants that we have sequenced in this state, mindful that we have 10 South African variants we've sequenced in this state, mindful that we have close to 9,300 West Coast variants that we have sequenced.
Does that sound like a guy who's opening up California? Let's get to the facts. Gulag Gav. Go to the Bloomberg website. They update it out practically hourly. We are 28th in the nation, United States of America, in COVID vaccine distribution. And this is a reason, because we're far behind in percentage-wise than anyone. We're below the 50% tile in states, which means, for those of you in Atlanta, we're near the bottom. But that's why our positivity rate is down. It's because we are mandating masks is the reason our positivity rate is down. Mind you, he said other states opened up, their positivity rating is going up. Let's look at the facts. Gulag Gavin called Governor Greg Abbott of Texas irresponsible and reckless about 3 weeks ago, when Governor of Texas Greg Abbott said there is no mask mandate, restrictions off, go for it. Now let's compare. Actually, more deaths, more positivity per capita in California in the last 3 weeks than in Texas. Now, who is irresponsible, or what is for? How did the death rate be lower in Texas that you called reckless and irresponsible, be lower than California when we're doing this and we're vaccinating and we're triple masking? If 4 or 5, if Fauci said we're 27 of them, you would probably get with your Chinese buddies and spend $87 billion buying 12 masks for every person in California, all 40 million of us, to wear every day, every hour. Because you could get your greedy little hands probably on some of that money. That's what we're dealing with here. You could tell the tone of that. Variants, 9,300 to California, and 5,000 of this, and 152 of that, and 27 of these variants. Spring break, Easter weekend, this is not going away. Remember what we heard about Thanksgiving and Christmas and what happened right after that? We're locking down again. Same thing. Don't do anything. You went over and saw Grandma. You know what your punishment is? We're locking your ass back down. That's what you get from Gulag Gav. There is no way in hell that he's letting loose of this power. He's just going to try and tap dance this to try and get around the recall or that. Or, semi-open your schools. Maybe your kids can go to school, but there ain't going to be any teacher in there. They're going to be Zoomed in. Or what the hell ever. With your buddy, the racist, Cicely Maret Cruz, UTLA president, and a whole raft of the teachers that are supporting her. 93% of UTLA teachers voted for that. Teachers, I want to see you again. Put it on the line. You come into the show, call in, whatever, we will give you a voice. Stand in front of your schools and say, we're here to go to work. We're here to open up these schools. We want to teach these kids like we had been doing prior to March of 2020, no more harm is getting done to the education of kids in the state of California. End of story, period. We ain't hearing it. Not, we need more money. Oh, we can't come until we're all vaccinated, until everybody that comes into the school is in a hermetically sealed bubble where you can't get out of, and now no possible anything could go wrong. Then we might consider showing up an hour a day a week, or what the hell ever you're trying to pull off. It's flat ridiculous. We need to stop it. And stop it we will. On top of that, this is a guy, Tito Ortiz was a former MMA fighter. Now he's a councilman in the city of Huntington Beach. He refuses to wear a mask. And now they're using that as an excuse on why you cannot they cannot have open public meetings because he refuses to wear a mask. Here's CBS 2 report.
A mask in public, period. As KCAL9 Orange County reporter Stacey Butler reports tonight, it's the latest standoff over masks involving the politician and former mixed martial arts star.
The reason our city council is not open for the public is that you folks won't wear masks.
In a contentious Zoom meeting that was supposed to be a quick discussion on how the Huntington Beach City Council planned to finally meet in person, things got heated when MMA fighter turned mayor pro tem said he wouldn't wear a mask.
I'll show up and do my job. I mean, if I get escorted by the police out for not wearing a mask, then that's your guys' choice.
So that's what I wanted to hear, right? So
I don't want it to come to this. You shouldn't have to come to this.
I can't have a circus here at City Hall.
Tito Ortiz refuses to wear a mask in city council meetings. Now, instead of returning to in-person gatherings, the council voted to keep them virtual to protect others.
I propose that we go virtual because we have to. We're being held hostage by at least one who's verbally recalcitrant council member who doesn't have respect for his colleagues or for the public, and he doesn't want to engage in transparency and engage with the public.
Mayor Kim Carr says the council offered to allow Ortiz to participate maskless through Zoom.
I want to go back in person. That's my goal. But I can't go back in person with a council member who refuses to adhere to the guidelines. And I'm hoping that Mr. Ortiz will come to his senses and realize that this isn't worth fighting over, that he should just Zoom in if he doesn't want to wear a mask, but it's really disruptive to our residents.
Ortiz.
So tell me, Miss Mayor, how is it disruptive to me to be able to participate like we used to at our city council meetings? And if you don't want to show up as a normal human being, then don't. Quit. If it's too much for you, if treating your fellow human beings with respect, following the real world data, everything else that says this is all bogus, it doesn't matter what you do with that, but we'll use Tito Ortiz as an excuse to keep the public away and it's all his fault. No, and whoever that other Yahoo was up there saying, oh, I'm too scared and it's all da-da-da-da-da. Grow a pair, you idiot. I mean, it's disgusting, especially to hear men come up there and just act like 5-year-old girls that just got their pigtails pulled in the playground at school that you used to be able to attend, that are sitting empty because of a-holes like you. That's what the problem is on that. This is leading to this. Number 4, please. Please teach your boys to be men before the world teaches them to be women. As I've said many times before, and this is coming from the retarded half of the population, but to you smarter half, you're going to rue the day that you tried to turn us all into women. Thank goodness at least there's one man on the Huntington Beach City Council that's bringing a little bit of clarity and reality to the situation. That blubbering fool up there who's gathering on running scared and we're all going to die because of COVID-19 if we don't wear a mask, that is the silliest crap that I've ever heard. You know what, bud? If you want to follow Fruitcake Fauci and wear 27 masks up there at Huntington Beach Council meeting or wherever out in public and look like a dork, be my guest. Tito Ortiz and myself and many others are going to live life as it should be without fear of ourselves and, more importantly, not trying to inflict fear on others to control them. This is one in a little bit, number 4, please. And then Dr. Fauci said, I bet I can get those idiots to wear 2 masks. And you see, for those listening, you're seeing a whole bunch of guys sitting there just cracking up, doubled over, bellied over in laughter. As they call him, Flip-Flop Fauci, is going on back and forth. Just tune in. If you don't like what you heard from Fauci 10 minutes ago, listen to him a half hour later, he'll be saying a 180-degree opposite. Like I said, I don't think Fauci would tell the truth if it was to his own benefit. That's where we're at in this deal. I want to cover this one before we get to the bottom of the hour. On that, Biden says he would strongly support moving Major League Baseball All-Star Game out of Georgia over voting laws, reported in the Washington Post. There you see him. He declined to throw out the first pitch today or this year to baseball game. This is Joe Biden, I think, back in 2009, yes, on that, where he did that on there. But he's basically saying now, because the All-Star Game is slated for Atlanta, Georgia, and Georgia just passed voter ID. What a concept. One man, one vote, no shenanigans. Wonder why Joe Biden and the crew are having a hissy fit over this. On top of that, which is even more disturbing, is this on the right scoop. This is Jim Crow on steroids. Joe Biden lies about Georgia law, and ESPN encourages Major League Baseball to move out of the All-Star Game. Quick synopsis: Jim Crow laws are we're back in this from the early 1900s to the 60s. They were segregationists, especially back in the South, voting and everything else to keep the races separated as they were determining them and stuff. And it was mostly under Democratic control. Influencing elections by having people being able to just send in ballots with no signature verification, no ID, no nothing. If we're voting at 150% on the precincts or whatever, fine and dandy with us. that is Jim Crow at its finest. And why he lies about it, you should have one man, one vote, one time, verified, that's it. Who is against that? Did they check every signature that came in all these mail-in ballots they used over the COVID crisis scare to get you to do that? No. They eliminated in a lot of states, in a lot of cases, even checking the signature verification on that because they didn't have any. Because when you did an absentee ballot or requested one, you had to sign it and they had to check the signature. When they just send ballots out to everybody, how the hell do they know what your signature is, or you requested it, or on and on? Besides sending out multiple ballots to the same person and everything else. Anybody who is against checking on that, or one man, one vote, is for a banana republic. On top of this, which is even disturbing, we heard about the Coca-Cola and their white shaming stuff and critical race theory on that. Georgia sports teams and major companies such as Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines, number 4, please, condemn new state voting law, voting rights advocates who pushed for corporate responses before the law was signed. Now say that statements come too late and they were backed by their actions. Really? So if there was any question about Coca-Cola and this whole crap about critical race theory that they're subjecting their employees to, now they're coming out against one man, one vote because they know their power was, and especially Delta Airlines. Anybody that flies on Delta Airlines has got rocks in their heads. Because if Delta Airlines CEO or as a company or whatever is against one man, one vote or verification and buckling to the Black Lives Matters and the Antifas that put the pressure on them on that, as it says in the Post article, Delta and Coca-Cola succumbed. UPS, Home Depot, Southern Company, and Aflac, which are located in Georgia, have not said anything about that. But they're buckling to Black Lives Matter, as it is in their own words, a Marxist organization. Or if they support that, so if you're flying on Delta Airlines or you're drinking Coca-Cola, you are supporting Marxism, Banana Republic, and a future of an oligarchy in the United States of America. Those of you who have and continue to support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the whole crew are of the same ilk. There is no way in hell that stupid can win in a legit race. It has to be, as we talked about yesterday with Susan Shelley, it has to be a rigged dice game for the forces of evil to dominate. And if we continue to let that happen, if we don't recall Gulag Gavin, the stuff will not only get worse, it will be the end of the United States as we know it. You want to be told how to get up in the morning, when, why, when to do this, where you can go. You want to be treated like a 3-year-old. Keep going down the road. Because that's where we're at.
1 minute.
Of that, there you hear the voice of Sean from KMET. Of that, we'll be joining them in about a minute of that. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's even heartbreaking at times to see that we're allowing this to happen in the United States of America. That we're allowing the minority, the extreme minority, to dominate the case and make it that we
30 seconds.
will be controlled at every opportunity. And again, do you want to be the generation pegged with
Here we go, 10
a slip
seconds.
away?
.com.
OEM Supply King. We got it!
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliate.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience on Facebook, Twitch, and Jesse's favorite, YouTube. As he's rolling his eye and shaking his fist at me for saying that, we're going on. He's just waiting for the day we get kicked off of YouTube again on that, or any of these other platforms of that going forward. But there's good news, I think, on the way. There's going to be better opportunities for us to get messages out that need to be messaged out without the evil big five, or whatever the number is, that's controlling most of our media and communications here lately, as we call them, the dominant media, social media networks. Maybe we'll take them down brick by brick. But actually, they will probably take, one way or the other, they will take themselves down. We cannot suffer anymore through the whole, we get to tell you what to do, what you can say, when you can, when you can't. And, that day will end, because I still am not giving up on the American people yet, of that we're going to throw away the greatest country that's ever been built in the history of the world. It's something going, everything going on of that. We covered the latest of Gulag Gavin going on there, Joe Biden stuff. Tito Ortiz, the Huntington Beach council member, who said, I ain't wearing no mask, screw you. And the little Chicken Littles that said, oh, we can't have a public meeting of that. But as we said the other day, and, sometimes you take things for granted. Things seem to be going good, or you're just not that big of a problem. You get leaders in there that are taking care of business. You kind of get complacent, and you think, well, that sort of problem has been solved. We're not doing that. Welcome 2021, and we get hit right in the face in the United States of America with, again, illegals pouring across the border by the droves, hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
The president, CDC, warning too soon for the loosening of restrictions and so on and so forth.
I don't know. Yeah, there you go. It's absolutely incredulous of what went on. Trump stopped. We had a surge coming on, as they want to say, in 2019. President Donald J. Trump got in there, fixed it, got where we're not, where we stopped all the stuff coming in, or the vast majority of it. Everything was looking good. Then Joe Biden comes in and says, hey, the border's open. As we had. The reporter who asked Biden at the press conference, of the woman in Honduras that sent her 9 and 10-year-olds walking from Honduras to the United States because Joe Biden said, come on in. The reason for the wall, the reason you protect your borders is what we're going to discuss now. And we're going to have, this is the first angel mom I had on when I first started broadcasting about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's particularly, well, a lot of things, but it hits close to home because her son was lost at the hands of an illegal alien who'd been deported multiple times in the city of Moreno Valley, where we are broadcasting from, where I've lived my entire life. But this story is repeated by the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, the 10,000s, all across the country. And with what's going on today, it is going to be repeated far more than it should be when we had it taken care of. Dominic Durden was the young man who lost his life in Moreno Valley. His mom continues to carry his torch, his memory alive. It's been too long, but Sabina Durden, welcome back to IE Newswire with Roy.
Hi, Roy. It's an honor to be back with you.
Most people don't say that, but that's a subject for a different day. No, it is. It's really, I mean, you know, and it is. You kind of get, you know, and it's more my fault than anything. You kind of get complacent. You think, well, you know, the wall's getting built. We're not hearing about this. All of a sudden, da-da-da, then boom, 2021 comes. Your thoughts?
We're experiencing an invasion, and we can't get complacent. And what happened to my family, what happened to Dominic right there on Pitchin Pass, right above Home Depot, can happen to any of us in any city, any state, at any given moment. And it doesn't matter what party you belong to, because we are being flooded with illegals, and we have the illegals still here that are now walking around without any consequences. Matter of fact, the guy who killed Dominic, he spent 35 days in jail. He received a misdemeanor without gross negligence, even though he had 2 felonies and 2 DUIs. So it could happen to any of us, and it will. At this rate, I'm already meeting and talking to new angel moms, and it's gut-wrenching because it's preventable. And I hear a lot, well, Dominic could have been killed by an American. And I say, yeah, he could have been, but he wasn't. This wasn't supposed to happen if this guy would have just not even been allowed in here. But they gave him break after break like they do with illegals now. Illegals now get more care and more preference than Americans do. I mean, just look down the street from you guys in San Diego, where the illegal minors now get school, in-person schooling, while San Diegan kids, American kids, still don't have school. And on and on.
It is. It's yeah, that's another one. Yeah. Your kids in California, by and large, no in-person schooling, and even if they do come back to school, the teacher's going to be zoomed in. Yet, people in this country illegally and kids in this country illegally are getting in-person instruction today in California. I mean,
right. And as they come across the border, they get envelopes with money, they have a piece of paper with any name they want to give, and they can travel with that. They don't get checked for disease. Even if they have COVID, they keep going. While we have to have 5,000 IDs and a birth certificate and then the explanation and the translation and doctor's certificate, it's insanity right now. And yet you still have people who are watching all this. They call us racist because we don't want illegal immigration. And I share with people, I don't like line jumpers. I don't care if I'm at a buffet. I don't care if I'm in a long line at Disneyland when I'm waiting 2 hours. I don't want nobody jumping in front of me. And there's a way to come to this country. There's a way to file for asylum. You cannot come over into my house, break through the door, and then say, well, I kind of need help. No, you're going to have to say that before you even get to my house. So we're being played, we are being run over, we are being replaced, and all for cheap labor and votes. And yes, illegal aliens do vote.
Oh, yeah. We went through that, especially yesterday, and it's even getting more incredulous in California now. And we had Susan Shelley, editorial writer for the Southern California News Group, on yesterday. It's even to that now. The government regulators in California, 8 regulation agencies now in charge of elections. Now, if you run a political campaign, now they have allowed private lawyers to sue you, just like they did with the ADA. What person in their right mind would run for office knowing, if you're not on the right side of this, or they want to come after you after the election, they can use not only the full force of the government, they'll get private attorneys in there to try and shake you down for every last nickel you ever had.
Yeah. It's just every day I think, okay, it can't get any worse. And then I watch the news. Some days I just have to shut it down. But I watched the news with these 2 little toddlers being dropped off over the wall. Did you see that? I'm sure many of your listeners watched it. And I thought, okay, I know cartel members don't care about how old, female, male. They don't care. It's just dollars to them because they get paid a lot of money. And I just returned from Laredo at the border from an event. And I see how they treat people. Cartels are on the other side of the river, and they're watching out. The police, the Border Patrol is overwhelmed. But that story with these 2 kids, I thought about it. And then I hear today that the mother of those 2 children is in New York. Oh, okay. So the Biden administration is now part of child trafficking because they promised to reunite these children with their parents. Oh, so the mother was so concerned about escaping violence that she left by herself and left her children behind to have them then transported by traffickers, by smugglers, where 1 out of 3 kids get raped and molested and abused, just to drop them over the fence, drop them down a couple of feet. Luckily they didn't break their legs. And then Biden will make sure that they get transported to New York. So the woman who who left her kids in that so-called violent environment, she's now getting rewarded. Now, if I would send my niece from California to New York with a stranger, Roy, I'd be in jail, and that child would be removed in foster care somewhere.
Exactly.
So we're living in a clown world right now.
It is, and it's distressing to hear, like Joe Biden at his one and only press conference say, no, they're not coming up here because of anything we're doing. And then he was contradicted by the reporter, as he said, of a mother in Honduras sending kids walking 9 and 10 from Honduras to the United States. What is that, 1,000 miles to 60-day journey? Because Joe Biden said the border was open. Where do you go?
And he said, they're coming because he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He unrolled everything and undid everything that worked. It's just they hate Trump so much, and he had it down to a trickle. And I don't care if people don't like Trump or they couldn't stand this and that about him, but he looked out for us. And when I lived in Moreno Valley, and after Dominic was killed, nobody wanted to hear about Dominic. Trump was the only one who gave him a voice, and still does, and has for the whole 4 years, where Dominic almost became a household name with many. A lot more people know about Dominic and who he was and what he meant, not just to me and my family, but if you ask, I get emotional because I'm thinking of Moreno Valley. That was my home for so long. He went to Canyon Springs, to Vista Heights. He knew everybody. If you ask people at the fire department over at Sunnymead Ranch,
Yes,
or down by the mall, they knew Dominic. His name is still spoken. The police department, he worked for the dispatch center in Riverside for the sheriff's department. Everybody still had a story. There's a park named after him. The cross where he died is still there, where people drop off flowers. And even though that warms my heart, it didn't have to happen. He was supposed to become a helicopter pilot for the Riverside Sheriff's Department. He had so many things left to do, so many dreams. And I think back to Moreno Valley, how fun it was growing for him to grow up there. We still have friends there, his friends we stay in connection with, but I had to get out of there. I couldn't stand driving by the spot anymore where he lay dead on that sidewalk. You know, and the killer is in Riverside with his family. He doesn't have to worry about anything anymore.
And the reason we're bringing more attention to this story is Sabina Durden, who lost her son Dominic at the hands of somebody who was in this country illegally and been deported a couple times, felons up the kazoo and everything else coming up. But as you said, the reports now are coming that there are going of the policy of the Biden administration. There are going to be more angel moms and more moms and families that are going to be put through the torture that you and your family have been put through the last dozen or so years of this. And that is what is more criminal than anything about this whole situation.
It sure is. And it's, you know, people die. There are accidents. I get it. And I could have lived with it if it was an accident. But we go back to, if this guy was never in the States to start with, then my son would still be alive, and we would meet each other on the street because I would still live in Moreno Valley. I wouldn't have had a reason to leave. And people need to wake up to this. And they try to shut us down with calling us racist. Dominic called himself German chocolate because he was half black, half German. And people need to stop being afraid talking about this issue because illegal is not a race. It's a status. And so when people throw that racist at you, they just want you to shut up. Don't let them. Speak about it, share about it, and make sure you're not a sanctuary city. Well, your whole state is now a sanctuary state, so never
Don't
mind.
Don't remind us.
No,
it is, and I think about that, and every time somebody same thing when they say, well, why do you talk about this, or try to shout you down, or people call me racist all the time. You can go back, and they still do it today in our comments, and I put them on there, and I let them ride for one point, because I want you to see where the other side, or where the real racists are in this country, and they're not from who you think. They're not from the straight white male or whatever, the boogeyman, or wherever you think they're coming from. They're coming from the ones that are the racists, are the ones that are shouting this each and every day.
That's right.
And trying to call out the people who are trying to help. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this issue is about law and unlawful, legal versus illegal. I came to the States as a legal immigrant. I had to fill out paperwork, had to have a sponsor, I had to have money, so I would never depend on the government. I came the correct way, and it took me 6 years to become a citizen. And I proudly did, and I'm a proud citizen because I earned it. But you can't just walk into anybody's house and then say, well, okay, I'm a family member now. No, you're not. No, you're not. You still have to work at it. And the easier it is right now with people walking in, now they're so overwhelmed at the border that they don't even get court dates anymore. We have no idea really how many come in because so many come in undetected. And the ones who come in, they don't run away from the Border Patrol anymore. No, they wait and call Border Patrol like an Uber or a taxi.
It
So
is.
we're being played. We're being so played.
Exactly, and I hear reports, off the record, so many border patrol agents who are back to the same we suffered for before Trump came in. They're quitting, looking
Yes.
to retire because they said
Yes.
we can't do. Even if we do arrest them or something, they're turned loose.
Yeah.
We're spinning
Yeah.
our tires out here.
Well, let me tell you this. When I was at Laredo and I talked to the officers there, I always thank them. I tell them I pray for them because these Border Patrol agents and law enforcement, they don't know what they bring home to their families with the constant contact of people that come from countries that don't, that still have diseases that we eradicated. But this one cop told me right there in Laredo, Biden took away 300 Border Patrol agents. They had 500 along a strip that was heavily traveled. And he took away 300, left them with 200, left them with bad equipment. The lights don't work. The cameras don't work. National Guard is still there, but they can't do anything except call Border Patrol, say, hey, you got about 10 of them heading your way. And she arrested one guy 60 times every day. And I asked her, I say, how in the world can you still do this job and not just run away screaming? She said, it's frustrating. Our morale is down. We try to prep each other up. But she said, I started this career because I wanted to keep America safe, and I'm going to finish it. But it broke my heart.
As it does, again, like you said, we thought we had this down to, a trickle under control. It was under control under the Trump administration.
It was.
Now we're having to deal with this whole enchilada again.
Worse.
Out of necessity, I think we're going to have you back on a regular basis in here to keep this out
I would
front.
love to come back. It's my hometown. I love Moreno Valley, Riverside. I would be honored to come back.
And I wish we were talking about. Wish we could talk about maybe better subjects on that. But like you said, from all around, this is more important than anything else. Dom, hugs to
and
you.
it became my find.
Yes,
my
Dom,
find,
hugs to you and all the angel moms out there. And we'll do this again real soon.
Thank
Sabina
you. And
Durden.
people can reach me
Go
at
ahead.
domhugs.com. DOMHUGS.com. Send me a message. Get your Dom Hugs bracelet.
You got it. We'll be in touch real soon because, as I said, out of necessity, I think we're going to have to put this issue front and center. Thank you, Sabina.
Thank you so much, Roy. Bye-bye.
Bye. Sabina Durden, who lost her son to an illegal alien here in Moreno Valley, California. And, as I said, the first angel mom I had on when we first started broadcasting of this. And like Agnes Gibney and many others that we've had on this, and I thought, not that we weren't, I thought we were pretty much with the Trump administration and looking like having handled the situation, or when there was crises, dealing with them in a professional and loving manner, that work for everybody, not only people of the United States, people here, people in Mexico, Honduras, Venezuela, and everywhere else. I will remind you, the president of Mexico told Joe Biden, what the hell are you doing? We had this fixed pretty much. Now we're having to deal with this because of what you said, and then you denied that you said during the campaign, and as soon as you were sworn in as president, come on in. When the president of Mexico is putting his heads in his face saying, oh, blank, not this again. We had this fixed. Now we got to deal with this crap. I mean, it's just gut-wrenching. Like I said, I would rather have Sabina Durden on to talk about anything other than this whole issue coming back. And even again, the most important point she made is Now I'm having to do with new angel moms because of the Biden administration policy. And that is what's tragic. As I said before and said many times, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Well, Joe Biden knows history, but he's repeating the bad policies. That got us in for decades. And this cuts across. Bushes were into it. Clinton, well, as Reagan said, the biggest mistake he ever made was granting the 86 amnesty. Biggest mistake of his presidency, let's put it that way, accurately quoted, was signing the amnesty bill for illegal aliens in 1986. And remember what we were told. Oh, we do it this time, never happen again. We'll take care of the border, we'll secure it. We'll have a sane immigration policy, but just do it this one time. Here we are in 2021. Some 30 plus years later, repeating this and having to deal with the same stuff. And having, just amnesty and this and we do da 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 da. When do we ever learn? I don't know. But I hope it's fast and furious, as we will be coming up with on Friday, coming up as we do that to close out the week on that. Usher in the weekend. Find something fun to do. If it's possible. Jesse shaking his head, which it is. It's getting harder and harder to do with all the stuff that's going on, but we'll figure out something coming out. Plus give you the news and views and everything else that's going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as we do each and every day. As we close out this Thirsty Thursday. So your marching orders are to be back here in 23 hours. Until then, see ya!